Nick had to wait for 2 full months while his dyno was out of commission. That's a long time to be without the most important tool in his shop. But now that the new dynamometer is installed and running, Nick has been keeping it busy with one engine after another.
Well, we got a full 46 pack on the dyno. All we did to this engine was a refresh, no modifications whatsoever, because my client, when he brought in this engine, it had 2 spun bearings on the connector rods. So our job was just to get the motor running again and a refresh. That's all we did. So we did a simple valve job, 8 new pistons, replaced 2 connector rods, regrind the crank, rebalanced the engine, and assembled it with all new gaskets, and here it is. We did not touch the carburetors whatsoever. We put them on the way the customer brought them in. So we're just gonna make one test because I have further work to do with the carburetors, but I'm just gonna make a small demonstration here for you viewers on my new dyno with our new setup. As you all can see, this was not here before. This is called a sensor box where all the wiring goes here from the engine stand to the console. So we had this installed. We made a fabrication, a framework on this, installed the rubber bushings to make it cushion because there's a lot of vibrations in this room when the engine is running, especially under full throttle. And we're gonna make a little demonstration again. Like I said, I'm gonna go turn on the console. I still need practice. I'll go slowly with it so you guys can watch what I do, and we'll take it from there. Let's go. Okay, here we go. First thing, I guess I gotta turn on the computer. Done. So now we're about to get the engine started. We have to open up our water line, battery charger, and of course, our power to the engine stand. So I turn on my water line, which is right here. This feeds water to my absorber because our engine dyno works on water. And this here works like as a clutch, which absorbs the energy from the engine. And second, we gotta turn on our battery charger, right here. And then third, we gotta turn on our power to the engine stand. And now we head into the office where the console is and start turning everything on. We got the screens on, now we can turn on the key. There we go, which is something new for me because we did not have this at all before. This is all new. And we're gonna rev it up to 5,300 RPM, so we gotta put that in the computer. Here it is, lower test at 3, and we're gonna start the RPM at 2,800 RPMs. So we gotta put it in the computer, 2,800 RPMs.
Nick feeds all the engine specifications into the dyno: displacement, bore, and stroke. The dyno even keeps track of the day's atmospheric conditions, air temperature, and pressure.
And this is all actual readings, you see that? We don't have a turbine on this engine, that's why it's gonna show here 0, because my turbine is made for a 4 barrels setup. This is a 6-pack, so I don't have a turbine. So in this case, we're gonna have no volume efficiency to read out on my paperwork. And since it's a 6-pack, we're gonna run it the way it is. For example, let me show you guys something. Water pump is this switch, right? Activates water pump and you got a blue light. Blue light meaning that to cool it down, it's a blue light. Very easy stuff. Second, we got ignition, which is right here. It's like an old car. Put ignition on, red light on. Meaning now we are doing 2 things at the same time. We have ignition and also low oil pressure. That light, once it starts, that red light goes off. And then after, because it goes off because it builds oil pressure. Once it goes under 8 PSI, that light will come on telling me that I got no more oil pressure. So that gives me an indication to shut down the engine. And in case, we don't want to do any damage to the motor. But in this case, I don't have to turn off the ignition. Now we have this new setup from Superflow. We have this big red button here. If anything goes wrong, all I have to do is slam on it and it shuts everything down. So here we go. Ignition, red light on. Then of course we got our fuel pump. Listen to this. There we go. All right. And there we go. We should have roughly 5 to 7 pounds. There we go. That's our fuel pressure. Only on one line. We're not using 2 lines because we're using 1 line on the 6-pack. Then of course we got our starter like this. See that? Okay, then here we have fan, but it's not actually a fan. What we got here is the O2 sensors to give us our air-fuel ratio reading. So in this case, we put them on to warm it up, and then it's gonna be an indication here somewhere, right here. Now they're gonna go on in a few seconds. And once they come on, I will start my engine. And here we go, ignition, fuel pump. This is our throttle, as we can see here, it gives it gas, and starter. And of course right now it's time for fresh air in the room, and that's the switch right there for the fan to change the air in the engine room. And when we activate the fan in the room, green light means fresh air. There we go, warm it up and ready to start. Okay, here we go. Let me shut it down. I'm just gonna explain something pretty quick. I'm gonna make one test here right now because I'm sure the carburetors are running very rich, but we're just gonna make a simple test here till 5,300 RPM. So I'm gonna pull it till 5,300 RPMs. The dyno will shut me down slowly on the RPM. It'll hold it down so I cannot go over it because we have it set at 53, which is called the upper test right here. And it's gonna go, we're gonna start at 28, finish at 53, 300 RPMs per second. So here we go. We gotta make sure everything's working. We got our battery charger on, water line on, water pump on, ready to start. Everything's working, so I'm ready to go. And I also wanna mention, in case anything happens, this glass here is bulletproof. It's 1.25 inches thick, and the wall here is made out of bricks. So we're in a safe zone, except behind the door. We don't stand behind the door. So we're ready to start. Here we go. Ignition on, fuel pump, O2 sensors are on. I can see right from here that they're working. And here we go. So here we go. We're just gonna make one test. Once the test is completed, it's gonna show us a screen right here. And here we go. I took it at 53 and it shut down by itself. Now, and here's our results right here. Look at it. It prints them out automatically. Here it is. But before I go there, here we go. The engine's warmed up, so I can show my customer the oil pressure, hot, idle, vacuum. He's got 10 inches of vacuum. I've realized that the engine was running very rich. We've lost some torque. So anyways, let me shut it down. And here we go. Now, I know some of you guys are engine builders, but this is for my general audience, my viewers. I'm just giving them simple stuff, not to go into too much technical. I wanted to keep it simple for my regular viewers. And here we are. As we can see. Shut the fan there, Denny. Here we go. Just to show you, here's our printout of the engine we just dyno tested. As we can see here, we maxed out horsepower was 400.9 at, let's say, at 5100 RPM. And our torque was 464.7 at 4200 RPM. This is just a basic refresh from 440 that I've done because, like I said before, this engine just came in with a spun bearing. So all we did was put 8 new pistons, valve job, re-ring it, of course, new rings with the new pistons and bearings, regrind the crankshaft, rebalanced it, and that's it. So here it is. This is just a basic test I just did for reviews to understand how a dyno works. I hope you all understood. And this is what it is. And what have we got here? One of my clients just traded in his Challenger for this 1970 Challenger right here. It's a fully loaded car with quite a few options on it. It's a 340 automatic car. Of course, beautiful orange. Well, it belongs to Benoit. And isn't this something, eh? Okay, this is not original, but then again, he knows that. It came with a vinyl top, louvers, tinted windows, power windows, disc brakes up front, rim blow steering wheel, rally dash, rally hood, hood pins, front disc brakes, and much, much more. And a stereo, of course. Isn't this beautiful? And of course, one of my favorite cars. Benoit, good choice, buddy. Nice, very nice. Very nice car.
The Challenger is coming in for a quick once-over. But Nick is right back to work in his dyno room. Even if he spent decades building and testing countless engines, he still has the kind of energy it takes to work hard on a Saturday, when most guys are taking it easy. But relax isn't a word in this engine builder's vocabulary. In fact, he's not even waiting for the 440 to get cold before pulling the big 6-pack off his dyno and rolling in a huge Hemi to take its place.
I'm going to use my favorite ultra copper silicone as replacing my exhaust gaskets for dyno testing. And what I use from Permatex works perfect for me. Or it doesn't dry at all, but you know what? You have no exhaust leaks whatsoever. So I don't use any gaskets for dyno testing. And this is how we're going to do it. Just putting a silicone, replace the gasket, and it does the job. And on the car, I use both the gasket and the silicone. And you know, guaranteed for sure, you're going to have a good seal. Here we go. Here I am. I just put a whole new engine together. And I want to get them started with my carburetor because I know they're going to work. Sometimes you take your customer's carburetor, you want to break in the cam, and you can't get it running or can't get it to run because of his carburetor has issues. So you know what? The initial startup, I use my carburetors. Like you see right here, I'm using a 750. They call my tests. Of course, I'm going to go to a bigger carburetor later on. It's just, I want to break in the camshaft right now, that's all. We're going to rev it 2 grand for 20 minutes. If they see the oil pressure is good, everything goes well, no noises, everything goes well, I just keep going for 20 minutes. Well, the new lifters have to mate with the cam, especially when it's a flat tappet, hydraulic or solid lifter, or mechanical they call it. It's a non-roller cam, so in this case we got to break it in So the cam and the lifters will have a break-in pattern, each lifted to each lobe. So how we're gonna do that? We're gonna run it, and with the splash and the oil pressure up, we're gonna break in the cam for 20 minutes, as we're gonna do very soon.
The break-in period goes well, and the big 505 Hemi is ready for the next step. Nick wants to get a bigger carb on the engine, and then do some tests at full throttle. But today has been a very successful double dyno day at Nick's garage.